Good morning, everyone. Hi, how are we? Oh my goodness. Okay, so here we are this morning, and we're going to work with a couple cute little things here. And yeah, so what we're going to work with is this is a combination here of oats and dates. And this, what we're going to do is we are going to make some sort of a baklava-ish type of dessert, I guess you call it, or snack. So anyway, what this is, you can see it's very leathery looking. It's dehydrated, and so what this is soaked oatmeal. We did this on Facebook a little while back, a few days ago. And then it took longer than I thought to dehydrate because it's still quite pliable here. And so, but it's okay. I kind of took a little bit off the end, and it's pretty good, workable. So this was soaked oatmeal and soaked, hey, good morning, Jane, hi. And so this was soaked oatmeal and soaked dates and put through the Vitamix. You know, pretty syrupy type of consistency, maybe a little bit thicker, kind of like an oatmeal consistency, and then poured onto the dehydrator sheet and then dehydrated. So what we're going to do with this, and of course everything's clean, clean, clean. For this, we're going to have to really work with our hands because I think it's going to get messy. So so I'm working with, I've got a couple different things here to cut it. We're going to cut it into little squares if we can, and I'm not sure what's going to work first. I really like this thing. I think it's some kind of a cheese cutter. I'm not sure. It doesn't say what it is. It just says the brand. But I really like this. I find it so handy for so many things. I think it gives you more control. More control when you are using two hands for this, you know, rather than the pizza cutter seems to go a little bit, you know, depends on how much control you have. So basically I'm going to get these into, you know, I don't mind if they're not perfect. They can be whatever you want. And so we're just gonna make you know, whatever size you want. You can have them bite-sized pieces or whatever that might want to be. So anyway, yeah, so the oats are really, really good because they have the fiber in them, and lots of vitamins, minerals, and stuff like that too. As well, when they're soaked, they are in their raw state. So these were organic oats, and the actual steel cut ones. I'm actually going to grab the thing there for, oh, I know what I'm grabbing. No, maybe I'm not. Yeah, I am. I'm just going to grab something else that I want to explain before I forget. Okay, so I don't want to forget about this. I wanted to talk about that. And so I'm just going to put that right there for right now. Try scissors. Yeah, you can try scissors. I always, you know, hesitate with scissors because, you know, I mean, you can wash them really well, but I find that, you know, holding it up and cutting it, it's whatever works for you. As you know, in my Facebook and most other things I do, I usually tend to do it the hard way, and I don't know why, I just do. So, yeah, so scissors would work good too. I don't know, I always hesitate to use scissors. But what ratio of oats and dates in water? Okay, that's a good question. So the, it was a few days ago on Facebook, so you can look there to know for sure. But I'm going to guesstimate that it was 1 cup of oats, and I would guess, you can go back and look at the Facebook for sure, but I would think it was like half a cup of dates in some water. You know, you have to put it in, add a little bit of water just so that they go through the Vitamix okay. But I think what I did was I just put the liquid from the soaked oats into the water, and I'm not entirely sure if you're supposed to do that, because some of the grains have, when you soak them, they're better off with the water rinsed and taken away, and I'm not really sure which ones those are off the top of my head. I might have explained it on the Facebook. That's the thing. Oh, we're getting pretty skinny here. My glasses are, oh my god, that was going to be pretty skinny ones there, because my glasses magnified it. That's okay. We don't care. We're not after perfection. But anyways, those would be little bit bites. Yeah, so have a look at that Facebook. That's the thing, when I do so many Facebook Lives, and especially if a few days have gone by, I seriously am on to the next thing and don't really remember what it is that I did, a few days before. So we're just going to cut these up, and yeah, you can use scissors, you can use pizza cutter, you can use whatever you want, and yeah, so the oats and the dates really make the crust for this particular thing. And I'm gonna go for the smaller, because I think, having a bite size might even be better than a regular baklava kind of square. And I think they're usually about 2 inches each, something like this. But that's okay. And this is pretty good just to eat on its own as a snack. Hey, Darlene, good morning. So we are, we're pretty good with, like, this is actually kind of almost like a cracker, which is pretty interesting really with the oats and the dates. So we're going to go like this. Okay, that's good enough. For what we're doing, this is going to be good enough. I'll get rid of that little tiny piece. We'll eat that on the side. Okay, so again, what we're going to do is we are going to do a little bit of blending. Here I have soaked dates again, and so these are soaked just in a little bit of water, not super soaked, because these were the I bought them packaged, so they were already cut up, so it's a little bit I don't know if it makes it easier to grind or harder to grind, but anyway, that's what I'm using today instead of the whole dates, and walnuts and almonds. Okay, so that's going to be our filling. So we're going to put these guys off to the side here and work on this side of the plate. And then sure enough, I forgot my little spatula, and I think that's all I'm going to need. So I just grab that real quick here. Okay, so you can use anything you want. What we're going to do is we're going to put the dates in with the pecans. So pecans and dates together in the Vitamix, or whatever blender you want to use. And if we need to add a little bit of water, we will. So we're just going to pop these guys in here. Oh, and measurements. I'm so bad for that. Okay, I would say that's 2/3 of a cup of dates, and I would put an equal amount of pecans. How's that? Oh my god, I'm so bad for that. It's just, I cook intuitively, and I'm not a professional cook at all. I am a certified herbalist, and I do natural health consulting, and I do a lot of herbal tinctures and teas and salves and things like that. And so this Facebook Live is really just about experimenting with healthy foods and playing around. It kind of developed at the beginning of the, this whole thing, the lockdown in March. And so people just wanted to hang out in my kitchen and watch what I do. And so it's all very experimental and just easygoing fun. And I love that everyone joins me in comments and has suggestions and tips. And we all share information about health because we're always learning. And so, yeah. So anyway, we're going to attempt to blend this up. I might need to pulse it a bit. It all depends on your blender and, you know, what kind of a mood it's in, I think, really. You know, a Vitamix is a good machine when it dims the kitchen lights when you turn it on. Okay, I'm going to give it a little shake just to get a few of the nuts in the middle there. And that's the thing with the Vitamix too, is sometimes it pushes everything onto the side. So let's just have a look here. Well, it's pretty blended. Okay, I think I can work with that. That's the other thing, you know, for me, as you know, if you've watched this Facebook, I am so not about perfection. We just work with what we have, and it's all good enough, right? I'm not, oh, that looks lovely, actually. Okay, so this looks lovely. So we're going to start with one of these guys, and probably best with a spoon, seeing as how I have never done this before, and I always, you know, nearly always don't try out the recipes before we go on live, which is what makes it so much fun and interesting, because it's good for me to just fly out or without any experience at all and make the mistakes so you don't have to, or that you can learn from. If you want, you don't have to. Okay, so there's our first layer, and now the other thing that we're going to do is we are going to, the second layer is actually a topping. I'm not sure what you guys can see here. You can, yeah, I think you can see that. So what I have here is and I shouldn't have pulled that off. Sometimes it's hard to get on when it's full. We'll just wiggle with it. But anyways, this is walnuts and almonds, and you should always put the canister part onto the blender and then put the nuts in and leave it there. Don't pull it off when it's full, because sometimes it just doesn't want to line up. Hi Kathy, good morning. There we go, we're on. Okay, so just so I don't knock things, throw them all over the floor, we have in this case we have almonds and walnuts, and that's going to go on top of this. And so yeah, what I'm going to do, and I know some of the recipes call for different things, you know, I've seen it made with nutmeg, and you could use cinnamon if you want, cinnamon, nutmeg, all those different things. You could add a little vanilla, you could add all kinds of things to this part of it. Actually, you could add to that part too. It doesn't really matter because you're going to bite it all at once. But in my case, what I want to do is I really want to add some almond extract, because I'm just so in love with the what did we make the other day? Marzipan. We made marzipan. Oh my god, it's seriously my best recipe ever, almost. Like, as far as a dessert, well, other than chocolate, of course, you can't beat anything with chocolate, but for a non-chocolate snack or dessert, the marzipan turned out absolutely fabulous, I have to say. Okay, so I'm just gonna, okay, measurements again, you guys want measurements. I'd say that's like, same thing, probably 2/3 of a cup of walnuts, and you know what, I don't think I have an equal amount of almonds. I'm going to add a few more. Okay. The nuts are raw too. Make sure that when you're trying to make a healthy food that you're using the raw nuts, because they're way more easily digested. And especially if you have a problem with digestion, you know, and proteins and that kind of thing, soak the nuts. You can soak the nuts even you know, even for an hour, and then drain them off and then use them, and it really improves that digestibility as well. It starts the enzymes, you know, kind of like when you're soaking seeds, it starts those enzymes, and so it really enhances the vitamin and mineral content as well when you soak them. So all these nuts are raw. This is completely raw oats, raw whole steel cut oats from, you can either get them at Healthy Habits, or you can get them through Wayne Smith at Vancouver Island Grain and Milling, and he sells it like just completely raw. They haven't been processed at all. They've just been, you know, pretty much taken off the plant, and that's it, and then flattened out. So this is just dehydrated. So this is a completely raw, super healthy treat just on its own. The oatmeal and the dates. But now we're like making it, turning into a super high powered protein, which is going to be a really good, tasty, yummy energy bite. Okay, so just a little bit of the almond extract. I don't want too almondy for that many nuts. I'm going to pour a little bit over here. I'm going to shoot for like almost a teaspoon. Okay. Although I love marzipan so much, I don't mind if it tastes like marzipan, but that's not really what I'm trying to show you today. Although I would totally OD with the almond extract, because in the marzipan we put 2 tablespoons in. Oh, it was awesome. Okay, so let's see how this goes. We're going to, I might have to dump this out again. Well, maybe I can get it down in there. Yeah, once you have your product in your thing here, you're not supposed to take it off, because then the blade pops up and it does exactly what it's doing now. Okay, let's go. I don't want to kill it. Pretty mealy. Okay. Yeah, I'm really quite loving this this little KitchenAid. I bought it not very long ago, and I'm really liking it. It's a super awesome little machine. So really nice. Okay, so we're just going to put a little bit of this on top, and there's a few different ways of doing this. You know, if you wanted to, you can just leave it like that, or if you wanted to, you can layer it. So we'll do one with a layer, and these are just a little, you know, kind of a Christmassy thing that you can do if you want to make some snacks or a high energy, you know, snack. Really, it's good at any time. So I have them fairly thick here. I don't think you're supposed to do them that thick, but the other thing you could do, if you want to get super fancy, you could blend this up more. I'm not too fussy on having it a smooth paste, but if you wanted to have it really thin, you could do that. So okay, well let's take a little bit of this off here. We're gonna make a few, so we'll just play with it. So it's a little bit less maybe, because I'm gonna put a lid on top. Okay, so we're gonna go like that, and it will get a little less messy, and you'll have to transfer it onto a different plate. Okay, so where's a good lid for that? Let's go for this one. That looks like that would go in there, and then you can just layer. Okay, so, and that's a good reason for some of the smaller bites, because this is kind of like man-sized for the bite. So you put it on there, and then a little bit of the nuts, and I'm missing a little corner here. Let's see, that piece is too big, but you basically want to stick it together. Now the other thing I thought of was just putting these back into the dehydrator, or you could put them in the oven on low, just enough for them to kind of, you know, meld together. Not very high heat, very low heat, but just enough to sort of solidify them so that the dates kind of adhere to the little layers here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and put them on here so that I'm getting the little date nuts everywhere, just so you can see this better. Okay, so you can have one like that. You can have a double layer one, and then we'll make some single layer ones. And so you just go on with doing that kind of thing. And it's going to get messy for sure. So, and it's all, you know, like I say, it all depends on what kind of consistency you want the nuts to be and how big. So some of these are longer, some are shorter. And, I mean, you can even just leave it just like that. So this is for the people that just came on, hi everybody. For the people that just came on, this filling is just pecans and dates, which are, you know, uber caramely, beautiful, awesome. And so you could just have them like that as well. But traditionally, apparently, so I've heard, that you're supposed to layer it up like this. So, yeah, so at least that is what I was working on. So again, you're just going to go like this, and then add your nuts, and you know, these would be, I will put a few in the dehydrator, and maybe I'll put a few in the oven too, just to see how that helps them stick together. And I wonder if that would, if you pat it, make it get firmer. There you go. Pat it really lightly. I don't know, whatever. You guys, I look forward to your suggestions and your comments, because as I said, with the Facebook Live, I am always experimenting with things that I thought I would try, and things that I think would be really fun and yummy and healthy, super healthy. So with your raw nuts, your almonds especially are super alkalizing for the body. They are just so good for you. Most of them have magnesium in them too, which is super important. You know, nowadays, it used to be years and years ago when I first took the, you know, all the nutrition and physiology and anatomy courses and stuff. It was like a 1-to-1 calcium magnesium, and that's what they thought was you needed 1-to-1 for the calcium to be absorbed. And now they're finding so many people, at least in the north, well, I don't know if it's the northwest or this side of North America, that a lot of people are magnesium deficient, and so much so that they were actually giving magnesium shots at the hospital because people were that deficient. And so now it's, as far as I know, and always, there's always updates to research and people finding out, or researchers finding out new information, and so things change all the time, right? You're always learning. And last I heard, you need 4 times magnesium to absorb 1 part calcium. So 4 parts magnesium to 1 part calcium. So, yeah, so depending on what your calcium capsule or whatever it is you're taking milligrams are, you know, compared to what the magnesium is. And the other thing with the magnesium too, is really good for aches and pains, muscle aches, pain, inflammation. It relaxes the muscles, which is why it works as a bit, it's not really anti-inflammatory, but it relaxes the muscles so that they're not in spasm. It just relaxes. Now, the thing with magnesium too is, depending on the type of magnesium that you take, if it relaxes too much, then it relaxes all of the muscles, including the bowel muscle. And so if you take too much magnesium, you know that you've reached your tolerance. If you get a little bit of a loose bowel, then you need to back off on that amount. So it all depends on the type, and all depends on the person as well, right? So anyways, yeah, best to get you can get your magnesium through the nuts, you can get it through the greens. All your dark leafy greens have so much of the magnesium, the calcium, I mean, iron, you know, vitamin A, vitamin K, you know, your dark leafy greens. We talk about dark leafy greens a lot, and I have a lot of recipes. If you want to check out my YouTube channel and my Instagram and the Facebook Live here, lots of green recipes, super green. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about was, I should make another one of these while I'm talking. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was, more about the bay leaves. I know I've gone on and on and on this, what are we? Winter. We're not quite into winter. Anyway, this year, this year, mostly this fall, I would say. I have gone on and on and on about the benefits and properties of bay leaves. You know, and here we have these guys. I didn't want to forget about them. They're getting a little bit dry now, but these were gifted to me this summer, and they are so good for the respiratory system as a tea. You know, if you have bay leaves, try and get fresh ones. Try and get ones that are under 2 years old if you can, because it makes a huge difference. You can smell, you know, the almost like a eucalyptus, and so really good for the respiratory system. They're anti-inflammatory, they're antiviral. They have so many amazing medicinal properties, and I've talked to you guys about that in 2 or 3 videos, so I won't go too much into that part of it. I have used them in salves. I've infused them with oil with them to put into my salves, and I've infused them with alcohol for tinctures because they're so antiviral. But anyway, what I wanted to say today was I found out, which I didn't really know, that it was, I never really put 2 and 2 together because I never investigated it, was that these bay leaves are like the laurel bay, like the crown that they used in the Greek legends, right? They had it was bay that they used those leafy crowns, and I didn't know that. I had no idea. I started researching it and everything, and then it said to, and I'm probably going to say this wrong because I clearly am not educated on this, but I think is it laureate and baccalaureate. But anyways, when they do that baccalaureate or laureate or whatever, it's that insignia, right? For, you know, I wasn't in, what do they call those schools? Oh my gosh. The name totally escapes me. I know what it is, but it isn't coming to mind. But anyway, I didn't realize that the bay leaf was so representative of achievements, you know, and accomplishments, and so celebrated. So I thought that was super cool. Yeah, it's really, and I heard too, which I'm not that familiar with, but I've heard it's made it's used in curries as well. So yeah, so I'm always learning something new about the bay leaves, and I think that's so awesome that we can make like a bay leaf crown, you know, and it would mean so much more. Like when they were doing the chariot races and stuff like that in Greece and Rome or wherever they did all that. Just thought that was super cool. I never even thought of what those crowns were made of. So I thought that was neat. So it has so many more properties than I knew. But for my interest, for what I'm using it for is medicinally. It's a great pain reliever, and you know, even in the tea, you know, because it has the anti-inflammatory properties, and then in a salve too. And so I did make a couple videos of the salve making. So easy, really. You're just taking your whatever your thing is. See, I should put another layer on there to make it stick, so you know what I'm going to do. I just thought of that right now. I'm always experimenting. You know, I never really think. I just do, and then sometimes I think later. It'll stick better like that. So, what was I talking about? So about the bay. Oh yeah, the salves. Super easy. Put your material, whatever it is, bay leaves, or if you were making sage. Sage is another one that's really, really good in a salve. I made an amazing, kind of like similar to a Vicks Vapor Rub, but not. It doesn't have any chemicals in it, and I put the bay leaf and the sage in it for those eucalyptusy. I also put eucalyptus oil in it too, but for the eucalyptusy smell and what would be the best fit here? The smell, there we go, perfect one. The smell and the smell's amazing, and the texture is really, really good. So it's easy to make yourself if you wanted to experiment with salves. I'm going to be putting a couple videos on my YouTube so you can check that out, and if you wanted to experiment with that, yeah, it might be something for you to do if you're one of those people who are seriously locked down right now and looking for something to entertain yourself. And also, you know, it's very empowering to make your own home remedies. Oh, look at that, triple layer. That's definitely a man size. Okay, so there we go. There's a variety of ways that you can make this. Okay, I will not bite into it right now, because I know when I do that, I tend to inhale the food and then I cough, and that's no good. So I'll try these afterwards, let you know how they are. And so if you enjoy my videos, please share and like, and check out my Instagram, my YouTube, and subscribe. So, and also I have a buy me a coffee button too, if you wanted to go further in showing your appreciation. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 11.